and I did not create a little a little info tab on my notes here, so I'm gonna have to totally wing it. Hello, my name is Michelle, and this is Michelle's Fiverr Studio podcast. Today is Monday, December 8th, and this is episode number 73. Well, hello. It is a sunny day. You can probably see outside my window. It is very cold though. I think it's like 18 degrees. Yeah, 17. Very cold. We had a little bit of snow overnight, and we have cold temperatures that are going to stick around all week long. And the cold is gonna, the cold is gonna stick around, and we're gonna have these little flurries all week long. So it's just kind of this week of weather unrest. But but I am here. I am ready to podcast. I will say right now that this may very well be the last podcast of the year. Next week is going to be a really busy week for me. It's my tech week for the show that I'm in next weekend, or the following weekend. And then the week after that is Christmas. So I'm just really not sure what the next few weeks are going to bring me. If I can record an episode, I will, but I don't want to promise anything. And if you see one pop up, it'll be a bonus. I might try to do one right in that week after Christmas, possibly. But I am also going to try to make sure that I do a year in review episode. So that's kind of what I have on the horizon. Of course, I am doing Vlogmas, so there are still going to be some videos coming out over the next few weeks. Every other day, I am dropping my episodes. So that is that. I have updates on my projects. I have a couple of new acquisitions, and of course, my day-to-day section. Before I do, let me talk about what I am wearing. So first of all, I pull my shawl out. I am wearing my ObLaDi sweater. ObLaDi is by Mary Annarella of Lyrical Knits. The yarn is the main summer stock in Madeline's Tidbits. That's the whitish yarn. And then also I use Malabrigo sock in Reflecting Pool and Cowgirl Blues proper sock in Mustard. So again, there we go. Those are those colors. I first did this in the summer of 2023, and then I ended up reknitting it because it just came out too small. So I cast it on again. I ripped it out entirely. Like, I literally had finished it, woven the ends in, blocked it, all the things, and I'm like, it's just too tight. So I picked the ends out, unraveled it, and then cast it on again November 2nd of 23, and it took me until April of 24 when I completed the second time. It's still a little on the small side, but I put it on today. I'm like, okay, it's actually not as small as I was remembering or thinking it was, so it's doable. I wish it was slightly bigger, but it's okay. And then the second thing that I am wearing, the shawl here, which really matches very nicely, is the Yorkshire Meadow by Jennifer Lassonde, also known as Boston Jen. And I knit this back in the summer of 2020. I started June 17th and completed it October 4th. And the yarn I used for this one is the Jojo Land Splatter Dash, and it's just blue and white. And its color numbers, I think, is actually what it's assigned. So I really like this one, and yeah, it's one that I thought went pretty well with the sweater that I'm wearing. So I have nothing on my blocking board, nothing that I've completed, but I have lots of updates of lots of my different projects. So without further ado, let's take a look at my project bag. All right, I don't know what I should start with. How about I start with and I did not create a little, a little info tab on my notes here, so I'm gonna have to totally wing it. I am doing the Mystery Gnome Along by Sarah Shira. It is also from Imagine Landscapes. And it was kind of a last minute decision, but I decided to go stash diving and see what I could find. So let me talk about the yarn that I'm using. This is all yarn from my stash, and I don't know that I have tags for a whole lot of it. Again, I forgot to include, I will try to get it into my notes, although by the time I do get it in my notes, it will be done. But I have this yarn here, which I have had for a really long time. I remember I got it at the Freiburg Fair in like 2015 or 14, 16, I don't know. It's been a really, really long time. So, and I don't even remember the dyer. This one here, I think I have, what's this, mustard. Actually, that I think is the Cowgirl Bells. It is, I'm quite certain. That's the Cowgirl Bells that is in, yes, haha. Because I still had the tag in the mustard. And then I also pulled out this gray, which is Malabrigo Sock in Flavia. And I have this mystery, oh, I have, look what I just found, the tag, the Woolen Rabbit. There we go, that's what the red is. I have this mystery brown that I got at Spa, oops, sorry, there we go, Spa last year, and that probably, I think this is the body, if I'm not mistaken, and then this blue is going to be like the beard and hands and nose and that kind of a thing. So we are on clue 4, just dropped today. So I will show you the first 3 clues. This is a spoiler alert. If you are doing this and you don't want to see, then I urge you to look away for a second. All right, here we go. This is what I have. Clues 1, 2, and 3 were this piece here. These fun little I cords up at the top. This section here is color work, which is part of clue 2. If you're doing it, you probably already know that. It's a little tight, but I actually like the whimsy of how it came out, so I am not gonna change it. And then I peeked at the clue during lunch, and I need to pick up the stitches around this part here for the body. So yeah, so this is what I've got. I've been keeping up, which I'm really pleased, because that was my resistance. This is the 3rd year that I'm doing it, and the last 2 years I've really struggled with keeping up and not falling behind, but so far I'm doing okay. And the clues seem to be small enough this year for some reason. I don't know. I'm gonna ride this wave as long as I can. So anyway, that is project number 1. Project number 2 will keep up the spoiler warnings. These are gonna be my Advent socks by Woolens and Nosh. So if you were doing these and you don't want to be spoiled, and then I encourage you to look away. Okay, so look at the colors. Again, I have been keeping up. I am really liking this progression. It is super fun. I cast on my cuff with the contrast color, and I did that before December 1st, and then I have been keeping up. So what I really like, all right, I've pulled them down if you're looking away. What I really like with the Woolens and Nosh Advent socks is she has them pre-wound in a little bag, and so you get 250-gram balls, and you knit a stripe a day. Oh, I was almost gonna pull it out. You knit a stripe a day until you get to the contrast color, and then you stop. And then the next day you knit that contrast color, which is just 1 stripe around, and then you knit the next day's color and then stop, and so on. And that contrast color is your cue to stop so you don't get spoiled on the next day's colors. So it's just really fun. I have both of my socks going on, of course I like to do 2 circular needles, so I got 4 circs tied up in this project. But I find it's just the perfect amount of knitting that I can definitely make sure that I focus on in this busy season. It takes me about 10 minutes per sock, so 20 minutes in a day. I can find 20 minutes pretty much every day. So that is also kind of the fun little project that I enjoy at this time of year. All right, how about we bring out another pair of socks? So these are my Wicked socks. And I know I had already shown you the cuff, but we did go see the movie last week. So look, I did from the cuff up to here, and then I don't remember, I pulled them back out again apparently, and I don't remember when, and I did a couple more rounds. I truly have no idea. I really do not remember. That's just the way this last week has gone. Oops, almost lost my bag, but aren't those colors just super, super fun? And I will talk more about my experience with the movie in the day-to-day section, but the yarn is by Little Wolf Knits. Well, here's the part of her tag with her name on it, and it is Two Best Friends, which of course is a really important song in the movie, and I put it in my Wool and Woman Fibers bag, which was also Wicked themed. So very fun, having a great time with these, and I've got my little Glinda marker here, which also was from Wool and Woman Fibers and my November box. So this has been a fun little project. Now that we've seen the movie, I can really charge ahead on these. It's going to be a great little side project to have going. Oh, you know what I forgot to grab? Let me grab it right over here. I hadn't unpacked my bag from Saturday, and I knew there was something else in there. And in my LLB little tote bag here, I have my Musselburgh, which I also think did some work on. Well, not a whole lot again. I think I keep bringing it places thinking that I'm gonna work on it. So I have exactly 2 rows. And actually I'm wondering, because I think the last time I pulled this out, I pulled it out, I'm like, oh, I guess I really didn't get hardly anything done. I'm wondering if that's the same hardly anything done. So yeah, all right, we're just gonna move on. Okay, the last project I am really excited to pull out, and it is in my float tote, and this is my Westknits Shawl. And I'm not gonna worry about a spoiler warning on this one because we are so well past that. But I finally have been working on this one in the last week, and it feels good to be getting some forward progress on her. I'm trying to find my, it's on this side. Yeah, so the last time I shared, I was way down here. So I have gotten, 2 segments done in the last week. So isn't it fun? It's been busy. This last week has been busy. So every time I thought that I was gonna sit down and really get a whole bunch of knitting done, I didn't. But let me talk about my colors again. It might be easier for me to just pull up the, yeah, so these yarns are all Hypnotic Yarns, my Yarnables yarns in Guava Cream Macaron. I know that that's that one. And Wings of Renewal, I believe, is this one. And I believe this one is Rest, Relax, and Recharge. And I think this one is Straighten Your Crown. I think. Those two might be the other way around. I don't remember anymore. And then I do have my Mohair, which is left from last year's Make Along, and that came from, I don't have it in here, but that was my leftovers from last year. So that is what I'm using for this project. I have, so it's a total of 9 of these ripple stripe segments. So I have 5 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So I have 4 more to go, and then I will be ready to move on to the next section. So we're picking away. I would love to have it done by the end of the year. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not gonna hurt myself, but I won't say that I might not try to push, because that would be really fun to have this one completely off the needles before the calendar flips over. On my yarn shelf, I have 2 different things I am going to talk about. The first one is my December, oh my goodness, totally brain cramped. December Yarnables yarn, and I'm realizing that once again I have forgotten to pull up the card to talk about my extras. All right, so this month's theme is Sugar Plum Fairy. So the extras are really cool. I'm actually quite excited about, about these. First of all, I have these really cool little holders that you can put stitch markers and things on. They are, here, let's put that straight so you can see it. And on the back. And so you just unscrew them and probably isn't gonna work super well because it's on the card, but anyway, you unscrew them and you can organize your stitch markers. And I'm excited because I have kind of been wanting to do that, and I might end up seeing if I can buy a couple extras of these because that I think will be super, super handy. The next thing is a super cute, you know what, I'm gonna take it right out of the package. Why am I fussing with that? Look at this adorable progress keeper with this little mitten. Isn't it cute? So there is the, oops, here, there we go. Manufacturer on that one. Crochet and Clay Cat is the maker. I've never heard of them, but that is super, super cute. I might have to go check out what other products she has. And then the last thing is from Candle Warmers, etc. Sugar Plum Champagne, and it is wax that you could use in a wax burner. So I have a wax burner from Scentsy, was a big name. They're still around, aren't they? I think they are. Ooh, that smells really, really good. I actually had not smelled it yet. So strawberry, violet, and sugar cane. Very, very fun. So that is the extras. Are you ready for the yarn? It is really fun. Look at this purple. Lots of different shades. And there you go. Sugar Plum Fairy. Really, really pretty. So this will be a fun addition to my shelf and see what it becomes when it becomes something. All right. So that is the Yarnables yarn. The other thing that I thought I would show you is I have been opening my advents. I have 2 different advents. The first one that I have been opening is from Fangirl Fibers, and it is Little Mermaid themed. And I have been taking my advents and sliding them onto an extra interchangeable needles cord. These are my Knit Picks cords. But look, here are my colors from days 1 through 7. I did not necessarily expect a fade, but that does seem to be what is going on here. And then the second advent was a last minute edition from Emma's Yarns, and it too is fading. Isn't that pretty? Super, super pretty. I have not yet opened today, so I'm excited when I'm all done here to open and see what I get, because these are really both very, very pretty. I think I talked about the shawl that I'm thinking I might knit, not until after Christmas, with one of these. And then I have been watching Knitty Natty's vlogs, and she is doing a blanket. It is an Anna Green Gables themed blanket. I can't remember the name of the blanket, but you do these little like quilt squares with a solid, you need like 3 skeins of a solid color. And I'm kind of captivated. Part of me is kind of like FOMO-ish, like I would love to be doing it now, like along with her, but in reality, I know I don't have the time. So I'm really forcing myself to put the brakes on and open both of my advents, see what they look like, and then make an informed decision about which one I would like to use, but I'm thinking that might be the second project that I do with the other advent. So we shall see, but that is what I have on my yarn shelf. day to day. This is gonna be actually a pretty good section. It was a busy week. We'll just say that. So last Tuesday, if you recall, last Monday when I was podcasting, I had my fingers crossed that I would end up with a snow day. And I did indeed have a snow day. We actually got the call that night, which is always amazing because then I can just turn my alarm off and really relax and lean into the snow day. I would have liked to have taken it as a big, long knitting day, but I had some things that I needed to do, so I took the opportunity to get myself caught up. I had a card class that I was doing on Friday night and that I hadn't done any preparation for. So I took a couple of hours and made sure that I was all set for that. Like, I did spend some time in the morning knitting and relaxing, and then I kind of used the afternoon to kind of get caught up on some things. I did some editing. That was December 2nd. So it was my first real chance to sit down and start to create. I spent like a solid hour and a half editing the vlog footage that I had taken up to that point, kind of creating the shell of what I will be using for my everyday or my every other day vlogs. I hadn't done any of that, so I took the opportunity to do that as well. So that was on Tuesday. I did have, the other thing I had was a webinar that I was attending. It was the third of 3 trainings. Like, it was a third afternoon of a training, third session. And I had that, and since it was on Zoom, I was able to sit and do that at home. And because I had worked for an hour and a half on my snow day, I got to leave a little bit early on Wednesday. Wednesday was an early release day for our school, which we only have once a month. And we had a staff meeting, and then the teachers all went into like content discussions, which is always tricky for me because I don't have any content really to do. So because I'd worked for an hour and a half, I was actually able to leave at that point. And I took that opportunity to go and get a little shopping done. And I did that. And then on Wednesday night, my husband and I went to see Wicked. And we had to run out, and I had my friend's little girl over for a little bit, and then we had to bring her home. And so we were gonna try to go to the 7 o'clock showing, and we ended up deciding that maybe we could squeeze in and get there for the 6 o'clock showing, which we did make it. But that meant we literally went through the drive-thru McDonald's, grabbed some chicken tenders, ate them in the car on the way over, and then the remainder of our dinner was popcorn. Not something we do all the time. We actually don't go to the movies very often, and when we do go to the movies, we actually don't typically buy popcorn. So that was actually kind of a treat to have some popcorn. But oh my gosh, the movie was really, really good. I have seen the play, so I was already very familiar with the storyline, so I don't know if that kind of helped frame it for me a little bit, but thoroughly enjoyed it. They did a fantastic job. I was really curious how they were going to take what is a play that is about 2.5 hours and expand it into two-part episodes, but they did in a fantastic fashion. Like, none of what was in there felt like it didn't belong, so that was really great. Thursday was a standard work day. I had my workout. I had a Zoom meeting in the evening, and then Friday I had my card class. So that's kind of how that week went. And then last weekend was our cookie decorating day. I think I have a picture I can pop in here of at least the batch of cookies that I brought home. So this is something I've been doing with my nieces and nephews for quite a few years. We, for whatever reason, various reasons, not whatever reason, I know the reasons, but for various reasons, it was a much smaller group this year. It was just my one niece and nephew. So instead of making a big batch and having everybody at my house, I made the cookie dough, and then I decided to bring the cookie dough to their house and have them actually help me cut and bake the cookies instead of, like, I usually have them all baked and ready to go. So I made the cookie dough on Friday, and then we went over on Saturday morning around 10:30 and we were there for like 3 or 4 hours. We cut out and baked all the cookies, and then while they were cooling, we had some lunch, and then after lunch, we decorated the cookies, and it was so much fun. It was just nice and low-key and really, really wonderful. And then we came home and we left immediately and went and visited my mother-in-law. So Saturday was a really, really busy day and I was pretty much not home the entire day. On Sunday, we of course had church and we had to do a water change, had to do groceries, and then my goal was to be sitting and relaxing by 4:30. Didn't quite make it. We were pulling into the driveway at 4:30 from the grocery store, and I still had to put groceries away and mix up my overnight oats, and I think it was more like 4:45 when I was finally sitting down, but I did have that alone time, or that rest time, and that brought me to today, which was a busy Monday. It should be a little on the quieter side. I don't have a ton in the evenings this week, not like next week where it's tech week, but yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like from here. So I thank you so very much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe so you know when I post something new. I will have links down below in the show notes for all of the fantastic things that I have talked about. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Knittin Michelle, KNITTINMICHELLE. You can also send me an email at michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic, well, I would say fantastic week, but it might be a fantastic 2 or 3 weeks until I see you again. And happy knitting.